Well, hi there, I'm Casey.
And I'm Corey.
And we are the Wright Brothers. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of the Tech Corner.
And in this edition, we're going to be taking a look at secrets for social networking success.
Absolutely, it's a bit of a mouthful there.
You got it.
All right, well, yeah, that's right. There's a lot of people who have been thinking about social networking over the last several months and years, but more and more we're starting to think about social networks as a tool for our businesses, and we're starting to think, is there any way that we can use social networks to improve our bottom line? So we're going to talk about several really creative ways that you can approach social networks and start to improve your business.
Well, we've got a lot of great information, so let's get right into it. All right, well, Casey and myself spend a lot of time in social networks. We are very involved, and so we've been able to learn a few tips throughout the way, and that's what we want to share with you today. Some of the things we've learned from the most elite social networkers on the planet. The first one that we want to talk to you about is keep social networks social.
Absolutely, and I think this is probably the most important framework for understanding social networks, is understand that social networks are social environments. So the expectations there are social. So if you show up there trying to close deals left and right, it's probably not going to go too well for you. In fact, you're going to get blackballed very quickly. And I kind of like to equate it that if you show up trying to close deals on a social network, you're going to look very similar to the person who shows up at a cocktail party handing out contracts and business cards. You know, it's just very poor form. But instead, really think of it like a cocktail party. And the same way you make money on a social network is the same way you would make money at a cocktail party. And the way to think about this is that you want to have the right conversations with the right people, say the right things at the right time. And if you're doing this correctly, this can open up more doors than weeks, months, or even years of traditional prospecting. So that's the way to think about it, is start to socialize with people on these social networks, and then the business conversations will organically arise over time.
Absolutely. They're a great way to network, provided you take the right approach and keep them social. The second thing that we want to talk to you about is give more than you take.
Absolutely, and I think this is probably a little bit of a paradox, because what you start to find once you practice this principle of trying to give more than you take is that it's impossible to give more than you take.
Absolutely.
In the words of the great John Lennon, in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And I have certainly found that that is true on social networks. The people who are getting the most out of social networks are the ones that are giving. And what's interesting about this is that when you show up on a social network, what you see is that most of the people that are there, they're there purely to take. They're there all to talk about themselves, their own ideas, their own business, and they're not really there interacting or engaging with other people. The most elite social networks, they understand this tendency and they're working against it. They're always looking for ways to promote other people's ideas, to promote other people's opinions, promote other people's businesses, to connect people when there's nothing in it for themselves. And what you see is that over the long run, this approach to social networking gains you a ton of credibility and a great reputation online. And it really is, if you take the long view, give more than you take, and you'll find that you get a lot more from that in the long run.
Absolutely. It is impossible to outgive yourself when it comes to social networking. Finally, the last thing we want to talk about is brand with your content.
Yeah, you know, most of what we've been talking here is about kind of how to build a good reputation on a social network, but we haven't really talked about how do you draw a straight line back to your business. And the way you're going to do this is by branding with your content. So if you think about it, each one of these social networks is more than anything really a means for personal expression. So for instance, on YouTube, you can express your expertise and your personality in the videos that you upload, the comments that you leave for other people. On Facebook, it can be with your status updates. Twitter, the same thing. You can upload photos, and all of these are ways for you to express yourself personally, for you to express what your expertise is, what your opinions, what your insight, your access. And you want to do this by branding with your content. So for instance, if I was trying to brand myself as an area expert, I'm a real estate agent who wants to be viewed as an area expert on YouTube. Well, I might use the videos there on YouTube. I would only be putting videos that had something to do with my community and something to do preferably with home ownership in my community. And I would be commenting on other videos that had something to do with those topics or topics similar to that. So that's how you kind of start to brand with your content. And if you do this creatively, you can draw a straight line back to your business without really coming off like a salesman.
Absolutely. It's the easiest way to really build a brand or an identity for yourself online is through your content. So those are three great ways that you can truly start to become an elite social network. Keep them social, give more than you take, and then start to brand with your content. Do that and you'll find that you can really start to have an effective and a powerful presence online. Now it's time for your favorite part.
That's right, the Wright Brothers shameless plug. And this is where we ask not what the podcast can do for you, but rather what you can do for the podcast. So what we're going to do here is something a little bit different. What you might have noticed is that in the description of this video, we put a link to our Vimeo page. And if you go to our Vimeo page, you'll find several seminars that we've given over the last several months. We do quite a bit of public speaking, and what we'd like to ask you to do is to go take a look at our Vimeo page, take a look at some of those seminars, and in fact what you'll find is that the podcast that we've given here today is actually a condensed version of a seminar that we gave a couple weeks ago called Secrets of Social Networking Success Revealed. So do us a favor, take a look at some of those presentations, and then if you think you would like to see a similar presentation in your office or in your area, would you drop us an email and let us know? We'd love to work with you and to present similarly something that you see on Vimeo in your office or in your area.
Perfect. Well, we got through a lot of great information. Hopefully that can help you out in your quest for social networking success. We'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.